Hi, guys. Back for another week. Well, we should get folks in the room. Somebody's already in. That's good. And our numbers will build, I'm sure, very quickly. So, whoever it is out there, I hope you had a good weekend. We're coming up to a holiday weekend where I think most of us are probably going to stay in town. Three people. Okay. We're getting better here. Have a nice selection of things to talk about in this live segment. Just looking at my notes. Hi, Louie. How you doing? Good to have you here. Well, let me begin with all the announcements. The first thing is that last week there was a career education panel that had to do with mass media, and I had an extra credit assignment. Hi, Jackie. And I had an extra credit assignment that was attached to that. Now, several of you have turned that in. Remember, today is the deadline for turning that in. And for those of you who did not attend the career panel workshop last week, you have another opportunity this week. And it may be something that would interest you. Please note attendance at this career panel event is purely optional, purely extra credit. But if you hope to be a professional photographer or graphic artist, there is a panel coming up on Thursday at 6 p.m. And it's a Zoom presentation, as you might imagine. And it would be the same extra credit assignment as for the panel last week. You would do a 300 word or so summary and turn it in. So if you're interested, all the particulars are in the announcement section on Canvas. Just look for the media panel announcement. Oh, Theodore is in the house. Theodore, I prefer that you go at the time of your class, but if this is what you can attend, then I'm okay with it. Remember that when you do the media note, you have to log into your class, not the class I'm teaching right now. So, okay. Next announcement. Fall priority registration has begun, and a few people are beginning to stream into classes. And I think you should check your registration appointment, because what's going to happen this fall is we are likely to have more students than classes available. It's typical that whenever the economy goes into a recession, enrollment goes up in community colleges. But at the same time, because we're in a recession, funding goes down. So as a result of that, I am predicting that for fall, we will have more students than classes available. So what that means for you is take a look at your registration date and try to sign up for classes as soon as you can. So there you go. All right, all right. Good morning, Evan. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. ASGCC elections are going on this week. And if it had been a normal semester, there would be one or more candidates coming to my class and giving a short speech or so on. And of course, you can't really do that this time around. So what I did was I have the policy that any candidate who wants to link their video ad or their campaign flyer, I will put it in the announcements. Now, what's kind of uncomfortable about this is that one candidate followed through with that. There's another candidate who asked, and I said, okay, give me your materials and you'll link to it. And then I never heard back from that candidate. However, the other candidate did follow through, and there is a link to her campaign video and also to the campaign flyer. Please note that I am completely neutral in student body elections. And if you're running, or if you have a friend who's running and you think that that person could benefit by having me link to the campaign materials, let me know. Let me know quickly, because the balloting is going on right now. So anyhow, that's student body elections. Next announcement. Last Saturday was the deadline for students dropping with an EW grade, an excused withdrawal. Instructors are told to, as you get toward the final drop date, to go through your rosters to see if there are any students who seem to be inactive or a long shot to pass the class. And if possible, to drop them for their own good. And so I dropped a few people last Friday. I took a look at their participation and their number of missing assignments and whether they had contacted me about the missing assignments. And so I dropped some folks. I'm looking at people like, Louie and Jackie and Georgia and Theodore and Evan, and, none of you got dropped because you're frequently around, right? Yeah. So anyhow, students were dropped late last week. Up next, I am pretty sure that we are going to have SI today. I have an email into Stephanie. She has not responded verifying that she's going to be doing her SI today. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do something that I don't like to do in the live segment, and that is look at the email on my phone. So let me see. Okay. Haven't gotten anything from her yet. If she does hold her email, if she does hold her SI today, it'll be on Discord as usual, and it'll be at least chapter 11, the advertising chapter, and perhaps both 11 and 12, advertising and public relations. So that's SI. Quiz number 3 is going on this week. It is open through Sunday. Quiz 3 is going to be multiple choice, just like quiz 2. You'll have multiple attempts to take it, so it should be easy. It is going to cover chapters 9, 10, and 11. So that is television, internet, and advertising. All right. Next announcement. They're just all lined up today, right? Okay. Next announcement is I had some emails from students who were a little perplexed when I put in your field trip points last week. And if you remember, we had to cancel 6 field trips this semester due to coronavirus. And I told you, for everything we canceled, I'll just give you credit because, who knows who was going to show up for what trips. So, all right, it was 6 field trips at 5 points apiece, or 30 points. So you all got an extra 30 points. Now, what kind of perplexed some of you is that it was expressed on Canvas as 30 out of 40. You'd say, well, why? What are those other 10 points? Well, if you remember, we were able to do our first field trip of the semester, and that was the America's Got Talent taping. And I think I had 19 students plus me for that. And because TV tapings are long, I award 10 points for that. So that's where those other 10 points come from. The folks who went to America's Got Talent got 40 out of 40. Now, a sub concern that a couple of students had was they said, hey, 30 out of 40 is only 75%, and that actually lowers my percentage in the class. Is that going to hurt my grade? No. I only grade on point totals. I don't grade on percentages. And I think where you got led a little bit wrong on this is that Canvas is just percentage happy. I mean, Canvas has percentages, for everything. And I just don't do it that way. I ignore the percentages, and I recommend that you do too, because in my class, it is just the point total that matters. And so those 6 field trips at 30 points got you 30 points closer to your goal. The only way it could have hurt you was if I had somehow assessed negative points. And I wouldn't even know how to do that. So, okay. All of that said, Evan, do you think there will be a vaccine by next spring? I think that by next spring, we will have procedures for dealing with this better. We will have more widespread and reliable testing. Beyond that, a vaccine, as I understand it, that would be a very, very quick timeline for a vaccine. Okay, Georgia. I went to the first field trip and got 30 out of 40. Georgia, it doesn't bring your grade down to a B. It's total points. It's not percentages. And I'll tell you what, Georgia, I will look back at that original roll sheet for your name. How's that? But no, it doesn't pull you down in any way. Louis is asking about the final. Will it be similar to the quizzes in the midterm? It'll be an enhanced version of the midterm. It'll be multiple choice questions, plus I will have you do some sort of essay. Okay. All right. So, on to the question of the day. The question of the day, and you can see it right here. You may think I only have one bicycle in the room, but I actually have another one right here. See? Okay. Anyhow, today's media note is about masks and how some folks really resist wearing them. And yeah, they're a little uncomfortable. If you're doing something active, you kind of breathe heavy and you kind of suck the mask in, and that's a little difficult, a little annoying. But there are folks who it really offends them to be asked to wear a mask. Now, last week, we were learning about advertising. Remember the media note about the psychological side of selling cars? And you had the ad for the Chevy truck where it really wasn't selling the truck by saying, hey, look how strong this steel is. You'll be able to load heavy stuff in it and it won't dent or whatever. Or, hey, look at the reliability ratings for this vehicle. No, it wasn't anything rational. It was this suggestion that if you own this truck, you'd be like a rugged, independent cowboy. I don't think a car can do that for you. As for the Range Rover ad, it linked the vehicle to leadership abilities. Think about the alpha dog kneeling down, in submission to the mighty Range Rover. It was making a case through this little story that you, buddy, can be a true leader if you just, drive this thing. And again, I don't think a car can, do that for you. So, all right, let's take those psychological lessons and apply them to some sort of, advertising, public service announcement we could do regarding masks. And, I don't think that you should wear a mask because it's good for the community and it's good for you. I don't think that's going to work. But here's the question for you. Here's the question of the day. And it's kind of a long question, so I'll read it and then I'll put it on the screen. Channel your inner propagandist. Propaganda is messages meant to persuade. Channel your inner propagandist. If we can sell cars by making people feel like cowboys or alpha dogs, what psychological arguments can we make to get people to wear masks? So, channel your inner propagandist. If we can sell cars by making people feel like cowboys or alpha dogs, what psychological techniques, arguments could we use to get those people who are, resistant to wear masks? So, like the car ads, don't think rationally, think emotionally. So what do we got? And while you guys are thinking about the answer to this, because this is a little bit deeper thinking than most of the questions of the day, let me tell you about the TAC flashlight ad. I watch this old movie channel that has a lot of cheesy ads for products that, operators are standing by, those kind of things. And one of them is the TAC flashlight. And they don't just say, hey, it burns really bright and, you won't stumble in the dark or something like that. It doesn't make an argument like that. It turns this thing into a macho, almost military tool. You never knew a flashlight could be so macho, right? So, all right. That's one way to sell things, to at least some part of the public, is you turn it into some sort of macho thing. There's another product. It's glasses for, cuts down on glare after dark. It's particularly good for older drivers. They have a thing in that ad where the person puts on those anti-glare glasses and he's able to see this illustration of a screaming American eagle. And the announcer says, God bless America. It's an appeal to patriotism. So, okay, how do we apply lessons like that? Like how the cars are being sold, how the macho flashlight is being sold, how the patriotic anti-glare glasses are being sold. Apply that to an ad or public service announcement that gets those holdouts to wear masks. Let's see what we got that's come in here. Evan, that's right. You were on yesterday's stream. Okay. That's right, Evan. You're catching the double header. You did both Monday and Tuesday. All right. How about you other guys? What go beyond the rational. Hey, health authorities say that it slows the spread of the virus by wearing a mask in public. Don't make that rational argument. Think like a propagandist. Tie it to some deeper emotional thing that would hit particularly that portion of the public that's resistant to wearing masks. So what do you got? And Evan, you can play along in that you might want to summarize what some of the more on point answers were yesterday. Okay. What do we got on how to think like a propagandist? Because if you can create something like that, then you've gone a little further on figuring out how all those ads that are aimed at you, how they really work. Huh? Boy, I'm getting crickets on this one, huh? Okay. Well, I've not given up that folks will come up with something on this. But okay, Louis, if high-end brands sell masks through their company, then more people would wear them. I overheard someone at the store say it ruins their clothing style and masks are ugly. Style over health. Okay, now we're on to something. Louis, I think if you can sell it as a fashion accessory, remember in the public relations chapter about the Getting Women to Smoke campaign, Edward L. Bernays, which is just morally just a god awful public relations campaign. But Bernays was able to sell that Lucky Strike green cigarette package as a fashion accessory. He got that into the color palette for the fall fashions. I guess he figured he found the right person to bribe or something. But yeah, if we can begin to have designer label masks and have masks be color coordinated with outfits, that's one way. Okay. So, okay, that's one idea. What about these, guys who are at these anti-mask protests? And, they're the fellas who, in some cases, bring their assault rifles, and they're kind of a type, right? What would appeal to them? I mean, on what level would they respond? Emily, it needs to show that a person who wears a mask is still in control of their choices. Yeah, you're right. These folks are very much in terms of personal freedom. Yeah, which is kind of weird in that on the one hand, you're patriotic, but your patriotism is based on, I don't want to do anything, for the community or the country. But still, you're right, Emily. It needs to show that it's taking charge and control rather than being the dog that's kneeling down. I think that's what you're saying, Emily, and you're right. Or if it makes a person feel like a hero. Yeah. Emily, somebody was saying in class yesterday, ninjas wear masks. So yeah, you'd have these heroic images of like 9/11 first responders wearing masks and super macho soldiers on the battlefield wearing masks, something like that. I agree. Anyone else got any ideas on how we we use the tools of propaganda to put this over? Louis and Emily, those were both good ideas, both very much on point. All right. Here's what we're doing today. The media note is not an NPR story. It's a PBS television story. And because we're going into media law today, it's about coronavirus and the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court has a reputation as being not the most high-tech branch of American government. And so what's in opposition to that is that many of the justices are pretty elderly, so they really do need to work remotely. So the PBS story is about how the coronavirus has changed the way in which the U.S. Supreme Court is going about its work. Then you have the typical multiple choice quiz on Canvas. And then after that, I want you to get into the audio lecture for chapter 13. That's the media law chapter. And I want you to listen to the first 29 minutes. And that goes through the slide, public figures and libel. Public figures and libel. All right. Are any last parting shots, questions, comments, what have you, before I shut down the live stream and head on over to Canvas chat? What do we got? Okay, guys, I'm going to end the live stream and I'll see you over on Canvas.